So now we're going to take a look at probably what most stock traders would actually like about Questrade. The window, again, is very highly customizable. It's one of the windows that I absolutely love working within, especially when looking at stocks. In this video, we're going to look at how to trade stocks and ETFs with Questrade and also how to make an account with them. Now, when I ended up starting long-term index investing, the first thing that I had to do was find a broker. Find a broker that is best suited for the things that I wanted to do with my account. And I believe that Questrade is excellent for long-term index investing. And another reason why they are good for long-term index investing is because they have also commission-free purchases for ETFs. ECN fees still apply, however, there are no commissions that Questrade takes when you purchase an ETF. Overall, I believe Questrade was the lowest commissions that I can find for purchasing ETFs, especially at that time when I ended up opening the accounts. I don't know if it still is true, but I'm sure that Questrade is very competitive among all the brokers out there. Another thing that I like about Questrade is they have good desktop-based and web-based platforms. The platforms are known as IQ Edge and also IQ Web. We'll be taking a look at them later in the video. I believe that they're very easy to use and they're very feature rich. So if you're looking at trading stocks or ETFs within their desktop application, all the features that you would expect are there, and then maybe even some. We'll take a look at that very shortly. And then the last point that I have here is there are no annual fees, and of course they're best for Canadian residents within Canada. So let's take a look at how we start an account. Start by going to questrade.com. Now there's many areas where you're able to click on open account depending on what page you're browsing. One of the things that I do want to show first is that if you go into the self-directed tab here and then you click on other, this is one thing that I found very difficult when I ended up starting out and trying to do the research on different bunch of brokers. I wanted to understand the ECN fees, and I found this page to be a difficult page to find. So this is all the ECN fees that they charge, and you can see it's based on the Canadian securities, US securities, and it breaks it down a little bit even further. So you can see what you'd be paying with a specific purchase there. And we'll also see an example when we go through one of the applications. So let's start by selecting open account. The first thing that you'll have to do when opening an account is select the type of account that you want to open. Our selections here that we have is a margin account, tax-free savings account, and registered retirement savings plan. We also have the Forex and CFDs. However, we're going to be focusing on the top three, and what we're going to actually choose here is the tax-free savings account option. So we can go ahead and click add. That now appears on the right hand side that we're opening up this one account. You can go ahead and add more if you wish. You can also add an offer code as well. So we can open this right now. This is the first screen that we end up seeing. It's easy to do and will guide you step by step, is exactly what Questrade is saying here. And I believe this is actually quite true. It's fairly simple to set up an account. The first screen that we see is the basic user ID information. You'll want to make sure you put your first name in there and your last name that match your government ID, your government issued ID. Then go ahead and put your email and your phone number in. On the next screen here, we have to create our user ID. This is what we're going to use to log in and out of the account. So you can go ahead and fill this in. I think this is straightforward. Once you've filled that out, these are the questions that you'd use for security. So this is important because if you sign into another computer, you may be asked one of these questions, even if you get your username and password correct. I see this very frequently, so make sure you write these down or at least remember them. Go ahead and fill these out, and then when you're done, click the continue button. Once you've completed that step of the process to make an account, this is the final screen that you'll see, and this is where most of the work is that you'll have to do. So the first few boxes that you have to fill out are more personal information. Then you'll have to go into employment information as well as financial information in your current condition, and then also citizenship. So you can see if you were to click citizenship, you have to go through these quick and easy check boxes. Then the next thing is going to be financial information that you'll have to input. They just want to know where you are financially. And then employment, as well as personal. Once you're done this, then you can go and get involved in the new account forms. And there's going to be a few sections that you'll have to fill out there. And once you've completed that, you may have to send them in by mail or email them in. I think there was a few that I had to email in, and then there was one where I had to physically mail to Questrade. Once that was complete, I was ready to start purchasing ETFs and stocks and what have you. So let's take a look at some of the applications that we have available. To check the web-based application that Questrade has, the first thing you'll have to do there is, of course, go to questrade.com and then click on the login button. Fill in the information for logging in, and then you'll arrive at a screen very similar to this. So this screen here has this is the trading screen. You may arrive at the accounts page, but you can set this to default to a different page if you wish. So I have it coming up on the trade page. So this is the very first tab that we get to see, the balances tab. So we have the total equity as well as cash, market value, maintenance success, and buying power. And then of course across the top you have the Canadian dollars, American dollars, and then you have these other two columns which state your complete all in Canadian currency and then of course American currency. The next tab happens to be the positions. These are all the positions that you happen to hold. You have your open quantity, closed quantity. So typically in index investing, that's what this is part of the portfolio for index investing. I don't have anything that is closed, so that doesn't get represented here. However, average prices and the current price is shown along with the market value percentage of your portfolio. Remember, this isn't a reflection of the entire portfolio. You can go in this area here to select other accounts within your main count. And then we have the open profit and loss as well as closed profit and loss. Under the orders tab, you can see which orders have been executed. So this here is an order that was made. This is the time placed on January 11th, and it was executed. The action was a buy. So this buy action ended up getting executed. So that means it was a purchase that was filled at this price of $14.47, fill quantity of 450. You have the filled price listed. So I had a limit of 14.47. It also filled at 14.47. The duration. So if I place this order in an evening of Monday, for example, that means that all day Tuesday it has an opportunity to execute. If it doesn't execute on that next day, then it would simply cancel and wait for you to place another order. That money would not go anywhere. The order type is limit. I would suggest making a limit purchase every single time you are purchasing, whether it's stocks or ETFs. This way things will not necessarily get out of hand. You know exactly what it would actually execute at, or it won't be placed at all. It depends really what you're trying to do. My recommendation is limit. Then the next tab that we have is executions. Of course, there haven't been any executions of orders for the last month. This is my tax-free savings account, so you don't necessarily see anything here because I'm not purchasing anything in March. All my tax-free savings account purchases are in January. I believe the total amount of money that you can have in your tax-free savings account at this point is $57,500, and I would highly recommend making sure you max it out at that point. The activity tab just goes over your the activity tab just goes over the stuff that you have in terms of logging in and logging out. So it's the activity of your account, logins and logouts. On the next list we have here a watch list. So you can view all the items that you're following in terms of your watch list. So I have a bunch here set. They're all happen to be stocks, and you can select whatever you want for them. I think this page is relatively straightforward. The next one that we have is the stocks. So this gives you all the information and chart information on anything that you happen to want to look at. So if we end up going to Tesla, we can type that in and then we'll get all the information there. So you can set your chart to the chart you want to see, whether it's the maximum 1 day, or I prefer to look at the 6-month time period. And then of course on the left hand side you have all the information pertaining to that specific stock, similar to what you'd find in Google Finance or also Yahoo Finance. And then, of course, you have a bunch of news and reports that are under here. So I don't really get into this too much. I really stay with this information. And then I also like to use what's on the right-hand side here. So I'm going to move me out of the way here so we can take a look at that. So again, this might have been covered before. So this is the account information. And there, if you click this, there's many accounts that you can actually look at depending on what you have open. So if we were to show an example of how to actually purchase something in the Questrade, you can either go and use the buy and sell here, or what I like to do is actually run it through this as well. So I can go and try make a purchase of cpd.to. So when I try and do this, the first thing that I need to do is place a quantity in here. Now I'm going to make a ridiculous quantity just so we can see how all the numbers work. Don't do this. Don't purchase only 3. I don't think that would be worth it, although you can if that's what you want to do. It won't cost much because, again, ETFs are free with Questrade. So this is the limit price that we're going to set. It's going to be $14.32. I would expect it to go through if this happened to be a trading day. And then it's coming from the TFSA, and it's a day trade. Everything that I do is within a day. And then, of course, if I hit the buy button, we now get this screen where it says which account that we want to trade with, and then the cost of trade, which is, of course, your quantity times your limit price. This is what it could potentially be. Now, if the price ended up going down, your limit trade still would go through, it still would execute. However, it would actually be purchased at a lower price, of course. So the market does try and get you the best price for that specific equity or asset. Then the commission that you pay, so this must be an ECN fee because we know that ETFs are free on Questrade. So you can see, like, I'm going to be paying a penny for this one, and it may not even be a penny. It may be rounding to a penny. I'm not even sure. I've never placed a order of only a quantity of 3. Then you have the change in buying power. So this is now your commission plus your cost of trade, and then you have all the other information with your new buying power, probably meaning something more important to you. So if I made this trade, I would have 293 Canadian left. Now it's important to note that this also says over in this area here that my total cash is $69.90. Now the reason why it says $69.90 in this account is because it also takes into consideration the funds that I have in USD. So if I were to purchase something here that ended up totaling around 69 Canadian, that would also mean my American money would have to be transferred in Canadian money, and then the trade would actually go through. And that's something that would occur in any of the registered accounts. So your TFSA and your RRSP, you're able to purchase an American fund, and then that money that you have would be transferred, the Canadian dollar that you'd have would be transferred into American dollars, and the trade would go through. Same thing here, where if we have American dollars, we're making a Canadian trade, we don't have enough money. They can't hold negative balances if there's money there. That's something that is not allowed within the registered account, so it'd end up trading and converting for you. That's something that's quite important, I think, for someone who's just getting into it. So let's hop over to the desktop application and see how exactly that works. Now this is the desktop application. You can see here that we have on the left side, it's the same sort of watch list that I have set here. One of the things that I need to kind of shed some light on is that this desktop application is highly customizable. You can have a whole bunch of different windows here depending on what you like. This happens to be the way that I have it set up. So if you want something that looks a little bit different, you of course can do that. You can see along the top all the different features, all the different windows that you can happen to set and select, and then of course size them to the size that you want and position them on different sheets, much like Excel. So you have the sheets on the bottom. We're looking at workspace 1, and then we can go and look at default workspace shortly. If we take a look at the second item that we have here, it's the same sort of information that you saw just on the web-based application, IQ Web. So you have your summary, orders, positions, executions, and balances. This is identical to what we just saw in the other application. On the right-hand side, we happen to see more of like your chart information. So this is what I have set up for myself. So if we ended up trying something like Tesla again, you can see that you have the same chart information, the same information here in a summary, and then you also have some profile information as well. So the uncertainty for this Tesla stock happens to be very high. I probably would agree with that. You don't know necessarily what it's going to do. It's not very predictable at this point. The previous rating of the Tesla stock was a 1-star, and now I guess Questrade or whoever actually gets this information here is saying that the current rating is a 2-star. We're going to take a look at an example of how you would actually buy a stock or ETF within the desktop application. So very similar to the web-based application, you just need to find one of these green buy buttons. Once you've found it, you can go ahead and click it. We're going to switch over to cpd.to. So this is going to match the same example we did before. We want a quantity of 3. And then we're going to set a limit price, and our limit price is going to be $14.32. We're going to have the same duration of 1 day, and then we can go ahead and click that buy button. So when we click the buy button, we now have the same information that we saw before, the trade value being 42.96 with a commission of 1 cent, which makes our change in buying power 42.97, new buying power 293. I think this is pretty straightforward and very similar to the web-based application. So now we're going to take a look at probably what most stock traders would actually like about Questrade. The window, again, is very highly customizable. It's one of the windows that I absolutely love working within, especially when looking at stocks. I believe that the information is quite detailed. You can, again, set whatever chart that you want to exist on this page. You can set that here. So I'm going to go ahead and move myself up over into the corner again. So if we take a look at the chart, you can see that there are the candlesticks to show price. So this is pretty much similar to any other software that you would see. You got your high points, you got your low points. They're stated. There's the high, the lows over here, and then of course you can see these little arrows. So this was the purchase in the tax-free savings account that I did. I have a quantity of 450 at 1447 for CPD, and you can see that they actually show up on your chart. So another couple lines that I use, I have my average working its way through here. That's one thing that I like for stocks. On the next chart down, it's the MACD line with the histogram. So this shows the signal line as well as the MACD line. And then if you're familiar with that, you'd know exactly how you're able to use that. And then of course the next line, I have the relative strength index. This is the RSI line. So it shows pretty consistent as of late for this particular ETF. And at the very bottom, I have the volume. So these are the charts that I prefer to have set up on my account. When I'm looking at stocks, even if we jump over into another one here, if we jump into Tesla, we can see what these are as well. So I'll just make this a little bit smaller. So we're able to see the whole entire playing surface that we have. So something like this, I believe, is great for any stock or even ETF investor. A lot of the times I'm using this specific to stocks, and then I'll use the web-based application for ETFs or just simple purchases. It really depends on your own overall personal preferences as to what you want to do. So I think that really covers all of the items within Questrade. If you happen to have any questions, let me know. And if you're looking for more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.